fingers crossed. Am I here? Am I live? I don't know about you, but that streaming issue just forced me to go and get another coffee. So if you're here, I can see some eyes down in the corner, and I can see now, so I can tell there must have been problems. Yay! Thanks, Julia. Thanks for sorting out the new stream key. Ah, yes. Anne, hi, Anne. Ah, welcome back. Thank you for coming back and persevering. That's really appreciated. Hi, Emma Ryan. Oh, I'm so glad you're coming back. That was really frustrating. I just didn't know what to do. And I said, didn't I? I was flying solo at first. I was like, I don't know. I was just pleased I managed to get in at all. Anyway, I'm back. And just in case you're joining in, thank you, Julia. There's the link that Juliet's just put in for everything you're going to need today to do the project that we've got, which is really exciting. It's the lovely Mother's Day, Easter project, perhaps. Oh, yes, Tanya, we're back. Hi, Lisa. Good morning from New York. You thought you were going to miss it. No, you're in just in time. Hi, Sylvia. Yes, we worked it. It wasn't me that worked out. It was Juliet. She's much more techie than I am. So fixed, yay! And Christina, hi. You can see me. Oh, that's good. That's good. What a relief. Well, I'll have to learn how to navigate that issue for next time, because we don't want that to happen again, do we? Hi from Romania. Oh, hello. Marita Marina, what a lovely name. Christy. Good afternoon again from the seaside in Barrow Inverness. Hello. And of course, most of you wouldn't have heard me saying hello, would you? It's working perfectly now. Great. Much better from Chicago. Yes, Denise, thank you. And Claire, hi Gemma, send you love from Spain. Oh, I'll take some love from anywhere in the world, to be honest. But Spain, yep, definitely take it from there as well. So thank you for that, Claire. Right, shall we start again? I think I need to start again. Perfect, you say my name, yay! I have a go. I even had a go at trying to speak Spanish earlier, didn't I? I have no idea what I said, so I hope it wasn't rude. Right, well, it's lovely to see you all in, and thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for persevering and persisting. It's really appreciated, and I've got such a lovely project to share with you today, so I'm really glad we've got it sorted. So just in case you missed it, I'm going to start again. We're making this today, so we've got French beaded flowers. Be much better on the other camera in a minute, but there you go. So the little posy of flowers created using a French beading technique, and it uses 0.4 wire and seed beads. This one, so is a perfect combination for those of you who dabble with a bit of wire work perhaps, but are mainly beaders, and it's great for you wire workers that dabble with a bit of beads and want to cross over. So it's a really lovely project to integrate some of your skills. Good morning, Neen. Good morning for you. Good afternoon. Grey, misty afternoon here in the UK. So yeah, so this is to scale, so it looks lovely as a little brooch, but also could look lovely on a hat. So Easter coming up, in Easter bonnets, a bigger Easter, and so these look lovely on bonnets. Lovely cake sprigs and decorations. And just in case we missed before, here's a little one that I've done, just another idea of how to use these. This is one I've just attached to a picture frame. So this one's, I've drilled through it. I've made a hole through the picture frame and then just posted all the wires through and secured them at the back with a glue gun. I do love a glue gun. So yeah, so that's there. That goes like that. So, you know, also you can use them for home decor. I've seen some beautiful ones around candle bases. They look fantastic. So great techniques to use in all of your jewelry making or home decor projects, and a great way to use up your beads as well. So you might have, hi Leslie, you might have lots of ends of colours where you've done projects, and it's great for using those up. But if you haven't got any seed beads, you haven't really used them before, this kit today is absolutely wonderful, because They're really, really affordable beads, and you get so many. You can do hundreds of these projects. Good morning from South Carolina. Spring is coming, Martika. It really is. It doesn't look like it here today. It's very grey, but we've had a beautiful weekend. So let me talk to you. Oh, by the way, in case you don't know who I am, you've never met me before. I think I've met most of you so far. Juliet's put a link to the kit that I'm going to talk about in a minute for you. But I'm Gemma Crow. I'm a jewellery designer, maker, teacher, coach, and now recently author as well. So you can find me on social media. Just type in my name. I'm pretty much everywhere. Popping up everywhere, doing bits and pieces, classes and workshops, and run groups on Facebook as well. So you can find me and what I'm up to out and about. I used to work with Spoilt Rotten Beads and come and run workshops in person, in the flesh, before the pandemic. And so it's just absolutely lovely to be back with the same familiar names and faces again, and doing it like this live, because we're all used to doing this now, aren't we? So that's one blessing that we've got from the last few years. So really happy to be here and happy to meet some of you I've not met before, and looking forward to meeting more of you. So yeah, and I can see the messages. I can't respond to messages from my... Oh, I can now. It was an issue this end then. So yeah, but I will try and respond to all of your messages or questions. If you have any, please ask away. Right, so let's go and let's have a look at the kit. Let me move this camera so we can go down onto my board. Here, there you go. I'll stay a little in the corner and try not to do my concentration face, because I have to remember that you can see it. Right, so the kit comprises of these gorgeous fancy glass beads, they're called. And I chose this colour, this box, because it's got all the colours you could possibly want for making your spring flowers and your pretty flowers. It's got this gorgeous soft minty greens, gorgeous corally red, iris purples, then you've got another sort of fiery corally orange this time, pink, yellow, blue and white. Yes, it is, Linda, that's great. Hi Gail from Illinois, and Martika. Ah, nice to meet you too, Martika. So I chose these because this box, there's a couple of different colour options in these boxes, but I chose this one because it's lovely soft colours, and what's also lovely is you can ombre the colours. So if you take a look at this brooch, this particular flower, I've done the centres darker, and it gives you that lovely quite natural look of your petals, because often they're not all the same colour, are they? They've got different colours going through them. So this one I'm working on is with the blue and the purple, just adds an extra little touch of detail to your flowers. So you've got lovely tonal palettes here that can work in together and create lovely ombres. Hi Ruth, hi Gail. Also just a lovely palette of colours just to mix up and make almost like your bead soup strung necklaces and things like that, because you get absolutely tons. I think there's 20 grams in each of these little pots, so 8 different colours. And like I said, these are called fancy glass beads, and they're a size, I can't remember what size they are. They're an odd size, 12-0, so they're not what your standard size. They're a 12-0 in size, and unlike Mayuki and things like that, they're not completely perfectly exactly the same. They're pretty close, to be fair, but because of that, they're perfect for these projects, perfect for stringing, and like I said, the bead soup patterns, and they're extremely affordable. So that's really great news. So I got this box, and I also asked for this colour as well. So although these are sort of clear and with a little bit of an iris sort of finish to them, so they've got lovely colours on them, these ones are matte, and this is this gorgeous garden or spring green. It's lovely. Oh no, it's Jane, the naughty one. Uh-oh, watch out everybody. Hi Ruth from Essex. when this live ends, can I access it afterwards, as I'm not sure I can stay until the end? Yes, the recording stays on, and you can keep coming back and watching it over and over and over again. So that's great. And you'll find it on Spoilt Rotten Beads YouTube channel or on the Facebook page. It will be there for you to just go back to. Oh, watching from Jacksonville. Hi, Helen. Normally sunny in Florida, but it's a bit dreary and drizzly today. You love Spoilt Rotten Beads, and the wonderful videos are. Who doesn't love Spoilt Rotten Beads? It's just the best place. It's the best place online, and it's the best place in person too. And we've had 100 messages. Well done. Congratulations, everybody. And hello, Cindy from Illinois. Okay, so that's that. The other thing that you're going to need today is some 0.4 wire. I've got a silver colour here, and you'll find that in the kit that's been put together for you too. And then a little brooch pin. So should you want to create this piece and turn it into a brooch, then you'll need one of these. Okay, so the link is in the chat, so you can go and grab your kit whilst there's still some available. And we're going to start by showing you how to create these more pointy petals. Okay, so some flowers in this brooch are made up all in one. So this rounded petals flower here is made up all in one piece of wire. And these petals here are made using 5 different pieces, and then we pull them together. Now, when I'm making flowers, I usually create an odd number of petals. It just seems more realistic. It's generally what you tend to find in nature. So I'm going to go with 5 petals for this one, and we're going to make 5 sections like this. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to need are my colours. So I get all my colours out ready, and in this one I'm going to use blue at the centre and purple at the edges. I'm just going to get my piece of paper with my numbers written down, because I wrote all the numbers down so I wouldn't forget them, and I didn't have to do that counting thing whilst we're talking. So let me get my right page open. Right, so for this one we're going to take a nice long length of wire. Now you do use quite a lot of wire in these projects, so I've got a nice long length. I'm going to go for about 50 centimeters of wire. Okay, and at this top end we don't want our beads to fall off before we start, and we want a bit of room to play up here, because we'd have to do a bit of guesswork otherwise. So what I'm going to do is at the top end here, I'm just going to create a very loose loop. So I'm just crossing the wire over like this and wrapping it round just loosely, just so that our beads don't slip off. And should we want to increase or decrease the size of this section here, we can quite easily. Okay, so a nice loose loop at the top, and then I'm going to thread on 6 of my blue beads, because I'm starting with blue at the center. So if I have this one here, I'm going to thread on 6 of my blue beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let those drop down here. Okay, and then I'm going to create a stem. So they're going to sit in the middle. I want a bit of play here. So what I'm going to do is just come below the beads, maybe about an inch or so below the beads, and I'm going to double the wire back. Now I don't need a really long stem, so just around 2 inches perhaps. So double the wire back about 2 inches, and then I'm going to twist that wire to start my stem. Okay, like that. Okay, and now we start building the petal. So I've got my 6 beads there at the center, and then I'm going to start building around them. So my first row, I'm going to put 8 beads on, and again I'm going with the blue, so I'm going to pick up 8 beads, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 and 8, and then I'm going to take those around that center. So I'm just letting the wire curve around the center and crossing the wire. Okay, and then where it crosses, I am just going to wrap my wire around once. Okay, so just spinning that around once. So now my wire is ready at the other side to put 8 on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to pick up 8 again. I always find it easier when I'm doing this to just hook the wire up slightly at the end, and then I can scoop the beads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and let those drop down. And once they've dropped down to there, I'll then bring that wire back around to the other side, and you can see it's already forming that sort of leaf shape. So once it's there at this end, I can then again just hook the wire around the stem and back to the other side. Okay, and then we go around again. So this row we're going to put 12 beads on. I'm still working with the blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so drop those down and then bring them around, sort of echoing the shape that came before, just sitting around the outside. Now if you find at this point that you're a bit short of beads, and like I was saying, because these aren't exactly uniform, you might find that sometimes you've got a bigger one or a smaller one, and it can cause a gap. Now, so don't worry too much about the counting. All we basically want is for this row of beads to sit outside of the first row. Oh, come out of the on the outside of that first row of beads and sit kind of neatly around the edge. Okay, so again, I'm going to take that wire around and I'm pushing it down with my fingernail to keep it in place. And now we're out to this side, and so we repeat. So this time again it's 12 on this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so we bring that one around and let it sit around the last row. And again, you can see here I've got a bit of a gap, so it's not quite going to sit. So this is where I might just pick up another bead. It's not, you know, I don't think anybody is going to go in and count the beads in your petals, so don't worry about that. If it's not quite big enough or it's too big, you can add or remove one bead to make it work. Okay, so now I'm ready to go into my fourth row, or my third row. Got my center and 2 rows, and now I'm doing my third row, and that's going to be starting to use the purple. So I'm going to do 2 rows of purple now. The first row is going to be 16. So 16 purples, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So we'll bring that up and sit that around the outside, like so. So that's just sitting around the outside quite nicely. And just wrap the wire around once. So it's sticking out the other side, and then we do 16 on the other side. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and then that comes around and sits. Now you can see where I twisted my stem, you see I've lost that twist there because we're coming lower. So all we do to make that back into, you know, lengthen that stem is just put another couple of twists on there, and it gives us a bit more space to work into. Okay, so coming round, sitting on the center and pulling the wire around. Okay, so now we're going to create our last or our outside row of the flower, and it's exactly the same process. So we're just going to put on the last row, which is 20 beads this time. So we're going to have to count those up. You can see how far these beads go, can't you? You can make such a lot with these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so there's our 20 beads. Take it around and sit it above the last row, and then we're going to wrap that around. Okay, and then the very last one now on the other side is 20 again. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 19, 20. Let's see. Bring it round, sit it on top of the last one. I think I might need one extra on there. I couldn't remember actually if I counted 19 or 20 then, so an extra bead for luck. And we'll sit it on the outside and wrap around. Okay, so that was our last row. So this wire here now we can get rid of. So we need to just wrap it around a couple of times just to make sure it stays secure. So we're wrapping it around the stem a couple of times, and then we can trim it off. Okay, then this end we want to create that accentuate that point a little bit more on the end of this one. So all I'm going to do now is I've slid that knot or that little wrap that we've done up, and I'm going to trim that wire off. And then what I can do is add a little bead to the top there. So I'm going to add a purple one so it ties in with the outside of the flower, just like that. And then we're going to take the wire around the back and fold it over the back so it traps that bead in place. And then take the wire and just wrap it around the top there. So it just keeps that bead in place and stops it falling off. Okay, so just taking the wire around. And sometimes, because it's only a tiny little bead to grab hold of, you can sometimes grab hold of that with your chain nose pliers so that you can hold it whilst you get the wire twisted around. Okay, so, and because they're wire, you can spend a bit of time sort of adjusting the shape a little bit. So if you find it's not quite as pointy as you'd like, you can adjust the shape of the wire slightly to help you get a pointier petal. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is trim off that excess wire as well. So we're going to trim it in as close as we can to the flower so that it's not going to stick out and be scratchy. If you do get a little sticky out a bit, you can come in with your flat nose pliers and just give it a pinch into place. Okay, and come around like that. So we got some messages in. Oh, hello from Long Island, New York. Glad I haven't missed this. Been meaning to learn this technique since I got my spinner bead. Yes, because you can actually preload your beads if you want to. You can, if you're doing them all the same color, then you could preload your beads onto your wire and drop them in each time. That is another way you could do that. So if you've got a spinner, yeah, definitely do that. Patricia is hi Patricia. Is saying hi to us all, and Juliet or whoever is manning the keyboard today, and it is Juliet, so hi Patricia. And yeah, it is a good way to use up your wonky-ish beads, then even if they, yeah, because sometimes you do get some in Mayuki and Toho, very rarely. Huge jar of pink and almost as large of yellow seed beads that were given to me by a friend when she moved away. Oh, well, perfect. It's a great way to use them. And I'm just going to quickly catch up and say lovely colours for bead making, says Martika. Hello from Illinois, from Cindy. Rainy in North Wales, yes. Oh, and yes, it is. I'm going to be heading to Wales on Saturday. Yeah, you do it both ways, Patricia, because sometimes you won't need lots of colours, so you can do it both ways. But it is nice. I think it's nice to add a little bit of depth to your petals with changing the colours a bit. Okay, so now I've got 5 petals made. So I've got 4 I made earlier. I'm going to just put them all together. So I've got some longer and some shorter stems. You don't want your stems too long because you don't want too many ends to have to deal with later. But of course, if you were making, stems for, if you were making like flower arrangements, because you can do, whole jars of flowers like this, then you could, of course, make the stems really long so you can have them quite, true to life size. So you can put them in vases, etc. But for me, I'm just going to use, I'm doing short lengths here because I'm putting them in a brooch pin. I don't want to have too many to deal with later. So I've pinched them all together, got all the centres together as closely as I can get, and then don't worry about squishing them because they will bounce back after. And then I'm going to turn them to the back and I'm going to twist those wires all together. Okay, so just give them a twist. We only need a couple of twists just to hold them all in place, and then we can open our flower back up. So we just then open the petals and distribute them around, and we've got a lovely little flower. So I'm recommending 5 petals. Obviously you can do more. Now, variations on this technique we're going to look at a little bit when we do the leaf. However, if you want to make these petals longer, or these flowers longer, there's a couple of things you can do. You just increase the number you put in the center to start with. So if you want a more elongated petal, we started with 6 in the center here. If you just start with a few more, 7, 8, 9, the more you add, the longer and thinner your petals will be. Okay, so you can definitely adjust like that. And likewise, if you want them a bit more squat, a bit shorter, then you can decrease the number of that you put in the center. Okay, so right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to the side, and we're going to look at a different technique to create these more rounded flowers. So in this posy, I've done it in the purple. So you can see it's just little round petals, a bit more daisy-like. And I'm going to stay with the same colour rather than doing a gradient this time. I'm just going to stay with the same colour. So I've got one that I have gotten so far with. Now I'm going to carry on working with this one because starting it is exactly the same. It's exactly the same for each petal. So what we do is when you start off, you leave yourself a length of wire. This is about 10 centimeters long, this length of wire, and you leave that, so you work 10 centimeters along the wire. And that's the only thing that's different with starting this flower to actually me finishing this flower. Each petal is exactly the same. Okay, so with this one, we start with the middle as before, and then we work outwards. So that in mind, if we look here, the first one doesn't matter as long as you've got a stem because it will just grow. But when you come to do your next petal, if we look here, here's the center of the petal. Get a little pointer. Here's the center of the petal, and that's where we're starting. So if you look at the distance from here to here, this is how much we need to leave so that we can build our next petal, so that they don't sit on top of each other and you've got plenty of room to make your flower. Okay, so this length here, I'm going to say that's about 1 centimeter from there to there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread on my central beads, and in this design the first row has got 7 beads, so I'm going to thread on 7. I'm using this lovely corally orange. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and I'm going to drop those down, but I'm going to make sure that I am at least a centimetre from the centre of my flower, or from where this stem, this wire protrudes from the last petal. Okay, so I've got space. So going up about a centimetre, then I'm going to bring those round, this wire round, to create a loop of beads like that. Okay, so once I've got that loop of beads, so I've got them bent round, and then hold on to that loop of beads and twist the wires to hold them in place. Okay, like that. Now when you do this, you might find that your loop looks less like a loop and more like a teardrop. Okay, so to rectify that, if you've got some round nose pliers, just pop them up through the middle and push down until those form a circle again, and then you can reshape that center. Okay, so then what we want to do is put a row around the outside. So we want to create a bit of space between this row and the next. So the wire I'm just going to take round a couple of times just to give me that spacing I need, so that the next row of beads sits on the outside rather than right up to that first sort of ring that we've created. So on this row, to go all the way around the 7, we're going to put on 14 beads. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, and just like before, if that doesn't go all the way around, feel free to add one or take one off if it's too big. What we want to do is pull those beads around that central loop that you've created. So we're just going to keep pulling them round, echoing that center loop. Let me get my fingers out of the way for you. That center loop. Now I can see I probably need to add another bead there. You see I got a bit of a gap there, so I'm going to add another bead, and that does sometimes happen. So I'm going to go 15. Okay, and once that's sitting nicely around that loop, you can then take your wire and, just like before, wrap it around that stem that you've got. So I'm going to wrap around 3 times to give me that space I need before the next row. Okay, so I'm ready now for the next row of beads. In fact, I'm just going to tighten that up a bit. So if you find it's a bit loose, just tighten it up by going, sort of rocking the wire backwards and forwards, and it sort of cinches everything in together. Right, so the last row then, I need, oh, I'm going to go round. Sorry, when I cinched that up, I took it even tighter. So the last row, I'm going to have 23 beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then they do exactly the same. They sit around and they follow that circle that was before, the circle of ring of beads that came before. And again, make sure they're all nice and close together. And you can see I keep putting my thumb over the top. I know that's not really great for you guys at home, but when you put your thumb over the top, what happens is it makes everything settle into that shape, and also stops it from jumping above, because if it jumped above, then we wouldn't necessarily get nice flat petals. We'd get sort of more curved ones. You could aim for that, I suppose, but what we're trying to do is keep it nice and flat so that they sit proud. So I put my thumb over the top, and that stops the rows jumping up above one another. So I recommend you do that. Now I can see I've got a bit of a gap, so I'm going to add a couple of beads to fill that space so that it sits nice and snugly around. So that's sitting now really nice and snugly around the last row, and then I'm going to wrap that in. So popping that in there, and oh, jumping around, and we'll just wrap a couple of times around that stem. Now with this one, obviously while I'm showing you, I've not concentrated quite so much, and so I've come up a little bit high, so I've definitely got much more than a centimetre there of wire in the middle, which is going to make that petal sit a bit prouder, but don't worry, we can fix it. So if that happens to you, all you need to do is just pop a little sort of zigzag in the wire, and it will just help it sit back into place. Okay, so, and it can be adjusted after as well, so really don't worry too much if the spaces are too big. You can adjust after. Okay, so once you've got all 5 on, you can draw those petals together. Bring the 2 wires, so you've got the tail, the wire that you started with, so with that sort of 10 centimetre tail that I recommended you leave, and the last tail of wire from where you've just finished, and you're just going to twist those together. So it's just holding the 2 ends together then. Okay, so there is your little rounded petal flower. Now at the centre of this flower, you've generally got quite a large area where you've got all those stems from the middle. So what I tend to do is fill that area with beads. So I'm going to get some yellow ones and put those in the middle. I think that'll be pretty. I'm just going to take a pinch of yellow beads. And I've got, at the back here, I've got some wire remaining. In fact, I've got quite a long length of my 0.4 left. I started with about 1 metre of wire for this flower, by the way. And I'm just going to bring that up to the centre, just in between 2 of the petals. And I'm going to grab 3 or 4 of my yellow beads and drop them down, and then just take the wire sort of to the opposite side of the flower and in between the petals. And all we're going to do is keep doing that, so keep bringing the wire up between the next petal along, perhaps pick up 3 or 4 of your little yellow beads, and this is going to create quite a textured sort of centre for your flower, and just keep dropping them in until you're happy that you've got, you know, a centre to the flower that you like. Okay, so I'm going to do one more little cluster there just to build it up a bit. 3 or 4 at a time. Pop them in and down through. Now once you're happy with the cluster you've got at the centre, and you think that's working and that looks nice and finished, then you can again go to the back and twist those wires together again. So I'm just twisting them like that. Okay, so there is our flower number 2. And we put that together and just see, they look pretty together. So we're nearly there. Oh, cute. Helen says these are so cute, thank you. I hope to make a brooch for a friend. Very thorough instructions. Oh good, I'm glad that's working for you. And Owen says, great to watch an uninterrupted demo. Yes, it's nice, isn't it? I'm going to interrupt it now for a swig of coffee though, if that's all right. I forget how long I'm talking when I'm doing these things. And then my coffee's cold, so I must have been talking a long time. Right, so let's now look at making some leaves. And just out of interest, and just to draw your attention to, look how few beads I've used. So I had a pinch out of each pot of the colours, and you know, I've still got all of these left, and you know, this pot has made the demo one and these pieces, and I'm still, you know, nowhere near even a third of the use on each colour. Nowhere near, not even a quarter. So it's going to go such a long way. Okay, so let's make some leaves. I'm going to get these nice lovely vivid green. I love this colour. It's got to be one of my favourite colours. It's lime green, I love it. Okay, so again we need some 0.4 wire, and I'm going to take about 1/2 meter again. I tend to like that measurement, it's nice and easy. And even the little leftover bits of wire, you know, you can use those for your other wire work pieces or rosary linking or things like that. So all the little bits I have left, they never really go to waste. I've lost the tail now. If you remember last time I was in, I gave you a tip about how to stop your wire getting tangled. I obviously didn't follow that myself because look at me, I'm all tangled. Right, so about 1/2 meter, 50 centimeters, what's that, about 20 inches if you using inches. And then we're going to create a leaf. Now it's exactly the same as starting those flowers. And so at the top here, I'm just going to create a very loose loop like that, and just take the wire around it loosely. We're not doing a wrapped loop or anything like that. It's just loosely. It's almost like we want a slip knot, okay, so that we can adjust the length of this stem that we've got and give ourselves some room, okay, but also to stop the beads falling off while we do the first couple of runs. Coffee sounds great about now. Coffee sounds great any time, Patricia. You did a lavender brooch a couple of years ago for your mum's 80th birthday. Oh, yeah, that's a nice present. The lavender's lovely, aren't they? I'm not going to show you how to do that today, but maybe another time. It is a springy green. It's a gorgeous colour, this one. I think I'm going to get some of this and team it with some orange and black. That'd be nice. Okay, so at the centre of the leaf, I'm going to start with 4. I'm going to create quite a short, stout, rounded leaf. So I'm going to start with 4 of my little spring green beads. And again, I don't want to go all the way up to the top. I want to leave a bit of space because I'm going to build up this way, and a little bit of space at the bottom so I can build the other way as well, so I can make the stem. So I'm going to double that back on itself, leaving enough to make a stem there, and then give that a twist just to secure that together. Okay, so just twisting the wires together, and this doesn't have to be beautifully neat, so don't worry too much. It's all going to be sort of in the posy in the end anyway. Okay, so I've got 4 at the center, and now I'm going to start surrounding this just like we did with when we started the flowers. Okay, so and for some reason I don't have it written down how many I need in each row, so we're going to do the guesswork method for this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread some beads on and just and see how many work. So here I've got 8, so I think that's probably going to be too many. We want it to sit quite close to the center, so yeah, I'm going to go back to 6. So 6 beads like so, sit them around the center like that. It should be quite straight at this point. Sit them around the center and take the wire around the stem wire, the center wire, which I suppose would be like the main vein in the leaf. Okay, so around the center, and then we're going to copy that, so we're going to do 6 on the other side as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one doesn't want to go. 6, and bring that down to the other side. Okay, so surrounding that center again, sitting it up to the stem, and then holding it, like I'm saying, I hold it with my thumb so that they don't jump up. So hold it with my thumb and then take the wire around once or twice to give you some extra space in between your rows. So there's the center of our leaf. Now if you're making lots of leaves, that would be enough for just one leaf if you want like a sprig of leaves. But if you want a bigger leaf like we've got in the brooch, then we're going to carry on and we're going to keep beading a few more rows. So I'm going to come around this row. I had 6 there, so I'm going to go for 10 this time and see. I think that will be about right. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Let's try that. So we can sit that one up and bring it around. That looks pretty perfect. So there's 10. So the first row, if you want to write this down, first row was 4, the middle was 4, second row was 6, third row is 10. In fact, I'm going to write this down so I can share it with you later. So 4, 6, 10. I'll go 10 on the other side. Any guesses on what the next row is going to be? There's not really a sequence or a pattern. I did try and work it out mathematically, but that's not my strong point. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, and take that round and just check. Well, it looks like that one, I need a couple more beads on that one, so I'm going to put another, must have got some smaller ones, another couple on there. That's perfect. Hold it again flat in between your thumb and forefinger and wrap a couple of times around that stem to give you a bit of space. Okay, so I'm going to do one more row like this, and then I'm going to show you how to create those little zigzags on the edge of the leaf to give it a bit more definition. Hi Jane, how are you? I love these beautiful colours, very spring-like. Are you using 4mm wire for your demo? Yes, it is 4mm wire, Jane. So in case you missed it, there's a link to all the materials I'm using in the chat. If you scroll up, you'll find it. And there's a link to these gorgeous, they're called fancy glass beads. So they're seed beads. They're a size 12.0. And you can get this lovely palette of colours in this box altogether. And there's a kit been put together, so it's all in. But you can buy the colours individually as well. But this is I just thought this was such a lovely palette to give you some ombre effects and gorgeous spring flower colours. Great for Easter as well. So yeah, it's these beads and 0.4mm silver wire, and then I've got a brooch pin and also these lovely spring green opaque beads as well. And these are also the fancy glass beads, and individually in packs, I think, let me just tell you, because it's so opaque spring green is called, and these packs are only 95p. There's 20 grams in there, so that's a lot. That's sort of what you've got in your tubs. So you can buy them individually if you want to create your own palette. So yeah, right, so now, and Jane, if you've never I don't know if you've been with Spoilt Rotten Beads before, if you've ever come across this before, if you subscribe and sign up for the email newsletters, you get lots of discounts and special offers. So make sure you do that and subscribe or sign up and join the newsletter. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. 0.4 is, oh, we had the conversions up last week, Patricia. I can't remember. Owen, am I saying your name right? Owen Jones. 16 next, you're guessing? Let's try. What did we have last time? We had 10. So let's try 16, see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The moment of truth. Ooh, shall we take one off? I don't know, that's pretty good, isn't it? 16 is pretty good. I reckon I'm going to take one off just so it sits a bit more snug, but good guess. And maybe I've got bigger beads in this one, and maybe I need 16 on the other side. That's a good guess. Okay, so taking that around, and you need to take it around once up here. And we're going to add 15 or 16 on the other side too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You watch, you bet I'll need 16 on this row. Yeah, look at that, I need 16. Put that in. 26, Sylvia. Thanks, Syl, for looking. So Sylvia's saying, according to Google, a 26 gauge is the same as a 0.4mm gauge. Okay, so I've put 16 on the other side. That seems to be fitting that perfectly. So I'm going to wrap that around at the bottom now. Okay, so now to get these sort of prickly edges, so because not all leaves are just smooth like this, are they, or elongated like this. So to get these more sort of prickly edges or jagged edges on your leaf, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that wire off. Okay, but I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to use it again. I'm going to cut that wire off and I'm going to add it to the bottom at the center. So this wire, I've got about, I don't know, 15 centimeters. So that's 6 inches, 7 inches of wire left. And that's plenty to do this next bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reattach it at the center. So I've got about the same amount of wire each side. At the bottom, so on the stem area here with that doubled over wire. And I'm just going to wrap that around once just to keep it in place. Okay, so that's just wrapped in. It doesn't matter which side the wires are coming from, just so long as you've got, roughly the same amount each side. And then this row had 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, let's go for 12. You'll see why I'm coming down the numbers in a minute. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm adding in 12. Oh, I'm going to go 14 actually, 2 more, make it a bit bigger. Okay, and I'm going to bring that up around the side of the leaf. Okay. You see it doesn't quite come to the top because there's obviously not enough to go all the way around. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kink that wire over. So hold the beads so that you're sort of pushing them against the stem, pushing them down the wire, and then bring that wire over like that so you bend it. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at where that sort of connects in on the side of your leaf. So which 2 beads it sits in between. So you see it sits in between those 2 beads quite nicely there. So I'm going to thread my wire down through the outside of the leaf here. And we're going to just hook that wire in between the 2 beads where it sits quite naturally. Okay, so hooking that round, so wrap the wire around there. And come all the way around so that it's hooked in, nice and securely. And then we can just trim off that excess wire. And again, remember to make sure you tuck those little bits of wire in so that they're not sticking out. So chain those pliers just to tuck those bits in. All right, so now we're going to do the same the other side. I'm just going to take this one, and what did we do? Did we do 14? Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Okay, so remember what we did here. We held the beads, hold them nice and securely, pulling them against the stem so that they're nice and tightly packed onto the wire. And then we're going to make a kink in this wire. So we're going to bend that wire, and it sort of bends against the bead there. Okay, and they will want to slip up the wire, so you're going to have to keep an eye on them. And then we go again through the frame, so through the last row of beads there. So that's tucking through. Pull that through, and then find the 2 beads that it most naturally sits in between. So up here. Excuse my fingers in the way. This bit you will need to keep your fingers on top of your work all the time, like I was saying, to stop them jumping up above each other. So when I take my fingers off to show you, the beads jump around. So basically I'm coming up here, I'm looking where they slot in, where that wire sits most comfortably, and then hook the wire around like that, and again all the way around so that it's almost wrapped around itself, and then snip off. Okay, and then remember to tuck those ends in. Okay, so you can already see we've got that bit of, you know, that bit of shape now on our leaf. So we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to come down a bit lower. So again, another piece of wire. So this is great for using up all your offcuts as well. So another piece of wire, attach in at the stem, at the base. So you've got, you know, wire each side. So you only need to wrap that round once just to hook it in place. And then we're going to add another row here. So we're going to decrease the size again. So I'm going to come down to 12 beads this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's have a look what that looks like. So bring that up along the edge. I think that's perfect. We don't want it too high up. So that sits along the edge there, and it's going to hook in between these beads here. Okay, so again, pull those beads down nice and tight towards the stem. Create that bend by pulling the wire. Okay, and then we're going to hook that in. So take it into that last row, thread the wire through, let it sit in between the two beads. It, you know, lines up with most on your design. Give it a good tug. Okay, like that. Oop, you see that sitting in there nicely. And again, we're going to make sure that we go all the way around with that wire so it's really secure. And then trim it off. Okay, same on the other side. So 12 on this side again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and again pull them down, make that bend so it's nice and tight. Bring it up around your beaded row, your last beaded row, and see where it sits on the side there. Pull that in and make sure it's sitting the same sort of place as it is on the other side, so it's symmetrical. Nature's very good at being symmetrical, so if you can get that the same each side, that'd be great. Okay, and there we go, that's sat in there. So now you can see you've got, you know, some nice shape to the edge of your leaf rather than it just being a, you know, a straight ellipse. You've got a bit more shape in there. So again, going to wiggle that around and then trim off the excess. Oh, you haven't seen this one before? Oh, that's good. Around the petal variant, I've only seen the very basic individual petal method before, so thanks for that. Oh, you're so welcome. That's lovely. And Bethan, don't worry, you're late. You'll be able to catch up. And we were a bit late because we started and it didn't work so well the first time, so we had to come back. So don't worry, the replay will be available for you to watch anytime you like. Okay, so again, we're going to finish this just like we'd finished the petals. We need something to stop this all falling off. If we just cut this wire off here, we could pull that and it could all come apart. So it's important that we do something to finish the tip of the leaf or the tip of a petal with this particular style. So if you don't want to put a little bead there, you can just take this wire and sort of double it back on itself, and I would say wrap it through the frame once to sort of secure it. But whatever you do, you've got to have something to stop those beads coming off. So I am going to finish it with a little green seed bead. Just put it on the top. I always find it sort of makes it pointy and finishes it anyway. And then take the wire down the back, fold it over and pinch it so that it's secure, and then again you can wrap it either through the frame or around itself. Okay, so making sure that that is finished, and mainly it's because we don't want everything to fall apart, so we're just making sure that doesn't happen. Okay, so up through, and wiggle, give it a wiggle. You notice I always do this and was wiggling like that, and that because it acts a bit like because it's wire, not thread. So thread, when you pull it just keep pulling until it's tight. With wire, if it decides it wants to bend in a certain place, that's where it's going to bend. And so to make it go where you want it, giving it that wiggle, almost like it's like doing up a ratchet strap. Wiggle it side to side in the direction you're wrapping, and it will cinch itself in. So that's why I'm always giving it a wiggle. Okay, and then once you're happy it's secure, you can then snip off the excess wire, and you've got a lovely little leaf. Okay, and this is actually quite tulip shape, isn't it? If you imagine if you made a few of those and then profiled them, because that's the other thing, you don't have to keep the petals flat, you can sort of give them a bit of profile by bending them. So you can make like little more cup shapes, and you could arrange these around and almost make a tulip, couldn't you? So these few techniques, there's so many ways you can adapt them to invent new flowers, or even some flowers that Mother Nature hasn't even invented yet. You never know. Right, let's move this over to the side. So let's have a look how this is coming together so far. We've got a leaf, a nice big flower, and a little flower, which this is looking lovely. You could leave it there if you wanted to. I just want to quickly show you how to create this little flourish. So this would be, I suppose, like a gypsophilia. That's one name for it. I'm not sure what its Latin name is, or if there's I think there's another word. Is it bride's breath or something like that? I don't know, but it's little white flowers, and they're great for filling bouquets in real flowers. So they do exactly the same job here in our beaded flower bouquet. Okay, so this is what we're aiming for, these little stems with little bits attached all over. So I've made a start, and again it's exactly the same all the way through. You keep doing the same thing over and over. Baby's breath, that's it. Baby's breath. There must be another one with a bridal or something to do with brides, because I remember I got it a bit mixed up there, didn't I? Baby's breath, that's it. Okay, so this is the same wherever you start on your wire. All you do is just keep adding and adding until you've got the sort of shape and size of the sprig that you want. Okay, so I've got a little bit done already. So you do this. What you do is you take your beads. I've got 5 on each of my little flowers then. So I'm going to pick up 5 of my white seed beads. I'm going to drop them down. And I'm going to, when you do this, you always start with the end one. Okay, so the one that's furthest away from the stem. So if we imagine that this is the main stem here, we start with the one furthest away. Okay, so I'm going to come up along this point here and put my beads around there, and then double them back on themselves so that they form a little loop. Okay, and then with that loop, I'm just going to hold on nice and tight. You see I'm pinching quite close to my beads there, across the wires, crossing over quite close to my fingertips, and I'm just going to do 3 or 4 twists, and that's caught those beads up there on the stem, and I've still got some wire out to the side here to use. So I'm then going to create a little offshoot of this. So I'm going to pick up 5 more of my little white seed beads. 4, 5, drop them down, and again I'm going to sit them sort of the distance from the stem that I want. So I don't want really long stems, so I'm just going to come along, I don't know, it's about 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, and again fold them back on themselves and twist them together. So twist in, twist, twist, until it meets back to the stem again. Oh, sorry, back to the stem again. And then I'm going to twist the stem, and then I'm ready to put another one on. Okay, so you keep repeating this until you've got as much as you like. So I'm going to pop another 5 beads. And drop that down, and again fold, pull that round so I get a little little loop of beads. Like this. And give it a twist. Again, we'll twist it down until it meets back with the empty wire, the plain wire. Okay, and then once it's back to that plain wire, you can give the 2 wires a twist, and then keep going like that. So you can have another, I'll have one more on, and then I'm gonna start putting the bouquet together. So one more lot of 5, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bend that back on itself and hold on to the ends and twist. So don't worry if the beads are a bit loose on that circle. When you twist, it should sort of pull itself quite tight into the circle. So don't worry if it's a bit loose to start with. Just keep twisting and it will eventually tighten up. Okay, so now I haven't got much wire left, so I'm going to finish that there. I'm going to turn, keep twisting. So this takes up a lot of wire. So when you start this, start with about at least 1 meter of wire, and it doesn't matter if you've got some to nip off. You know, it's better to not have to add any in, okay? But also remember, you don't have to make all this in one piece. You could make lots of little components and add them in. What I'm trying to avoid when I'm making brooches and things like this is too many stems, because we've got to do something with all of them at the end. So I'm trying to avoid too many stems, which is why I'm doing quite short lengths of wire if I can help it. Okay, so I've got this little sprig here. The technique is great for hair decorations. Yes, Sylv, it's the tiara technique, and it's making, you can make hair vines and things like this. Oh, thank you, Anne. I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's great. You've always wanted to try it. Well, I can't wait to see if you do. And if you do, Anne, please share what you make in the Spoilt Rotten Beads group, Spoilt Rotten Beaders. So that we can see. I'd love to see it, and if you tag me, that'd be great, and then I do get to see them. Okay, so there's my little sprig of baby's breath, or gypsophilia, something to do with brides. So this is going to finish my composition now for my brooch. So what I'm going to do is bring all of this in together. Let me put all these beads up to the top. I'm going to have a bead soup. Never mind. Try and keep those ones separate. Okay, so I'm going to arrange my bouquet now. So I'm just going to have a look where it looks nice together. Now, you don't have to be perfect at this stage. You can make adjustments after. But what is sort of important at this point is that you get them the right height at least. So don't worry about their position so much, but have this sticking out as much as you want it to, or your leaf sticking out so that it's, you know, the right heights more than position. Okay, so we don't want them all bunched together underneath one another, because we won't see anything, and even if we do move them, it's going to be hard to see. So make sure that they are at least all the right heights, okay, before you do the next bit. Okay, so then try and hold them all together, and then we'll go to the back. And again, don't worry about crumpling your flowers. You can put them back together after. We've got all these wires all together here. I've got this nice long wire as well, which is going to be really useful. So I don't tend to cut the ends until after, because I might want to use them. So I'm going to keep that nice long wire handy. And in fact, I could use it to help me get started. So I can just bind those around. So just using that 0.4 wire just to bind a couple of times to hold everything in place. Takes a bit of pressure off me having to hold it all in this hand. And then all of these sections here, I'm then going to twist. Okay, so that's going to keep them doubly safe and secure, and also combine all of those wires into a nice sort of neat stem. Okay, so we've twisted those together. These single wires I'm just going to pull out to the side, but these doubled over wires, these are nice. We don't have to worry too much about these because they're not sharp on the ends, because they're doubled over, so we haven't got any ends to deal with. So all I'm going to do with these, for the brooch design that is, different, you know, if you were creating, what else could you be creating? If you're creating something Um, when wouldn't this be a good idea? It's actually always a good idea. The doubled over ends are quite nice. You don't have to finish them. If you're going to wrap this in florist tape, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got spiky ends. You can just wrap them in florist tape, and you could do this with this brooch if you wanted to. But it's nice to have these rounded edges, because what I can do with these now is I can just literally fold them back on themselves and sit them behind, and none of those sharp bits are gonna affect anybody. That's because there aren't any, so we don't have to worry about those so much. The ones we do have to worry about, or try to get sort of tidied up, are these ones that are just bare ends. We need to get rid of those and tuck them in. So these two here, I'm just going to wrap around where I've folded the wires back on themselves. If I bring that up, you can see there's my ones that I folded back. They're quite neat and tidy anyway. You don't need to worry. This is the long tail that I said keep hold of. I'll tell you what to do if you haven't got a long tail, so don't worry. And then these ones are we're just wrapping them around and using them up really, and making sure they don't unravel. So I've wrapped them around probably a good six or seven times. Okay, and then I can trim them off. Right, and then those little ends we're going to sit beneath the brooch pin anyway, so they're not going to be in the way. So then what I'm going to do here to give us a good base for our brooch pin, just tucking all those in, good base for our brooch pin, I'm going to take my snipe flat nose pliers and pinch those stems all together. So that's sort of giving them a nice flat area, so when I put my brooch on, it's got something to sit on rather than, you know, wiggling around like that. So nice flat area there. And I've got this nice long tail of wire. Now if you haven't got a long tail of wire, don't worry, you can just add a piece in and we'll, you know, finish the ends just like I've shown you there by pinching them into place. So if you haven't got a nice long piece, don't worry. I'm going to take my brooch pin, and be careful not to prickle yourself because you have to have the pin open to do this. We have to have it open. And on the back of your brooch pin you've got all these little holes. Okay, so we're going to use the first hole to get us started. So I'm going to have my pin facing downwards, I think, so my pin out to facing the bottom and the catch at the top. Is that going to be the easiest if I was wearing it? I haven't thought this through, have I? Yeah, I think that's going to be the easiest. And I'm going to thread the wire through that first hole in my brooch pin. And you know, just as a side, I don't think it actually matters which way up you have the pin. Now I'm going to bring this wire around a bit, so I want the pin to sit a bit further up on the back of the brooch, on the back of the posy. So I'm going to bring the wire, wrap the wire around until it's at the right height to attach your brooch, the right position on the stem. We don't want the brooch pin sitting sort of below the bottom of the stem there. So that's gone threaded through, and then I'm just going to wrap the wire around, and I'm going to thread it through the next loop along as well. So I'm coming around and basically stitching this in place. So I'm coming around the back and I'm going to go down through the next hole along, post it through and wrap around the stem and down through the next one as well. So posting that through. You'll be careful when you're doing this that you don't come down too far so that you don't interrupt the mechanism of the brooch. So here it's like a little spring mechanism, so you don't want to get in the way of this little section here because it will stop the brooch from doing up. So just be careful to avoid that area. Make sure you don't wrap it in with your wire, because I've done that before, and that's why I'm saying have the brooch pin open, because it helps. Okay, so I'm just going to do one wrap around the whole brooch pin, just under where that mechanism goes. So I'm not interfering with it, just around there, and then we're going to work back up along the brooch again. So I'm going to stitch through those holes once more, just to make sure it's very secure. Now the other ways you could do this is, you know, if you wanted to, I know a lot of you sew and have got really great beading skills, so what you could do is create a little sort of backing foundation pouch or something for your posy to sit into, and then stitch your brooch pin to that. That would be very nice and neat. That would be a lovely neat finish. So if you do want to neaten this up or make this a little bit more professional, then I think that would be a really good idea to do that. Okay, so now I'm fully stitched in. That's very secure. So all I'm going to do is finish this 0.4 wire off now. So I'm just going to take it now beneath the brooch pin, so it's back onto the actual stems of the flower, and wrap that around a couple of times just to get it nice and safe. And then I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to try and cut it underneath the brooch pin so that it's actually tucked in behind the brooch pin. So I'm going to get in with my flush cutters nice and tight into there and snip off the wire. Be careful not to snip any of your other wires. You don't want that happening. Okay, so there's my brooch pin attached. I can do that up now. Just open that up. Can do that up. And then come back to looking at it from the front, and then we can do our flower arranging. So we can arrange all of these into the shape that we wanted. Okay, so again, you can add as many elements as you like to your little brooch or hat pin or whatever you're going to use it as. And you know, have got some level of freedom of moving your pieces around so that they sit where you want them to. Just make sure you leave them at different lengths, otherwise they'll all just be on top of one another. And that's it. There you go. There's your little brooch pin and your 4 different techniques for creating flowers, leaves and foliage. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you get to use it in your own projects, maybe in time for Mother's Day, or in the UK that's not this Sunday but next, or for Easter weekend, which is next month, isn't it? Early next month, 12th or something. So let me come back here and just check I've got any questions. Are there any questions before we finish up? Let me see. I hope you get to try it, Anne. Oh, well done, awesome. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Owen. Gorgeous says, Roz, just out of interest, what price do you think you would sell it for? I don't know. I rarely sell jewellery. I sell more tutorials or do commission work, which is priced very differently. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think you should let it go for less than around, what, £30? I don't know. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because it depends where you're selling it and also how you mount it. So how you finish it will really make a difference to what the finished price could be. So I think if you did create a nice little pocket for it with backing foundation or felt or something like that, then I think you could probably charge a bit more. And if you were doing it as a hat pin, you probably charge more for it too. But brooches are going to be massive next season. I've been looking on all the catwalks and all the fashion weeks recently. Brooches are big, so you know you might get more for it next year than you do this year. But I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask. I don't know if anybody else in the group sells their pieces and what sort of price they would consider putting on here. They're not massively time consuming, so I think, you know, 2 hours or so you could make one. So if you and they literally cost pennies to make with the price of the beads. So £25, you'd be working around £20, around £10 an hour, if that suits you. Oh, lovely and informative. Oh, thanks, Patricia. That's kind. Helen, thank you. You're very welcome. Rachel, you're very welcome too. Would 11Os work well in this design? Yes, you can literally use any beads. If I show you back to this one, if you've got beads you want to use up, and this one is using Delicas. I forget I'm on the wrong camera now. This one here is using Delicas, and that works really well. So this sort of more like stargazer sort of or colour lily sort of style. It works really nice in the elongated petals. So yeah, that's using Delicas, and those are 11Os, I believe. they're all 11 lows in this one, apart from the lavender, which are 8 O's. So yeah, you could. And the centre beads, I've used 8 O's just to give them a bit more pop. But yeah, mix and match. Use all your odds and ends, like I was saying before. It's a great way of using up your odds and ends. But take a look at these. These are brand new on Spoilt Rotten Beads website. I keep forgetting the FG beads. I keep forgetting the fancy glass beads, and they're size 12s. So many lovely colours and so affordable to try all these techniques out with. So if you haven't ventured down this road before, grab some of those. They're brilliant, and also great for spacer beads. I do a lot of BD projects and I love a spacer bead, so you can have loads of colours at very, very low price, much cheaper than buying spacer beads, believe me. You're very welcome, Deb. I thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful. Hope I can do as well as your good teacher. Love your demos. Oh, thanks, Jane. Ruth, you're very welcome. Owen says, I think it depends on where you sell. Personally, I'd be looking for 15 to 20, but we're all poor in Wales. It does depend where you sell, it does. And different parts of the country, you can command different prices. But one thing I'm always saying to my ladies in our creative, in the confidence course, is that you've got to find your audience, not work for everybody. You've got to find the people that you want to sell to, or that want your work, and then you can charge whatever you want. But I know we tend to make what we love, don't we, and then just put it out there to sell. So it depends what you're trying to do. If you want to recoup costs, then you can literally put, I don't know, probably costs about £1.50 to make. So if you're looking at just funding your hobby or making really affordable gifts to give out, then this is a great one. You're not going to be out of pocket. You're definitely going to be in profit selling these for anything more than £2. Oh, Sylvia says, thank you to me and to Spoilt Rotten Beads. Great demo. You're very welcome, Sylv. It's lovely to have you in. Martika says, thank you, Gemma. You have a lovely necklace on. Is there a tutorial for making it? No, not yet. There's no, there isn't. But it will be in workshops that I do in the future. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. You missed the beginning, Georgina. That's okay. You can watch it on catch up. So don't worry about that. You can come back to it. And if you forget how many beads to put on each, you can come back and just watch little sections to remind yourself. Tanya says, thank you so much. I am actually, you've actually got allergies to flowers, so going to make some for yourself. Well, that's a really great idea. If you can't have real flowers, have some fake flowers. And, beaded flowers. Even better. Yeah. So, okay then. So I'm going to bid you all farewell. Tell you thank you so much for joining me and persevering with our dodgy start and our first video not working, but hopefully that was nice and clear for you, and you can go and have a go at making these yourself. Okay, so until next time, I don't know when I'm next back with you at Spoilt Rotten Beads, but hopefully it will be soon with another project. And if you've got any requests, then please let us know, because any ideas, and we obviously want to do what you want us to do, so let us know. That would be great. In the meantime, have a lovely rest of March. I hope the weather clears up for you, and next weekend's supposed to be lovely, so I hope that works. That is, you can get up to nice things, and I might see you in Wales. Right, see you later, everybody. Bye. I can work out how to stop. See ya.